Yeah. So to understand these exercises and these practices, it's good for us to understand how the conscious and subconscious mind work. Um, to a large degree, and using the Buddhist model, um, the subconscious mind um, often pushes stuff away. Now, this has been, we know about this from suppression, repression, through Sigmund Freud's work, and it really is a key factor in trauma, and thus adversely, it's a key factor when we can work with it properly. It's a key factor in joy and well-being and equanimity and balance and health and vibrancy and real radiant, active peace and well-being. And very often, this on multiple levels of our conscious mind, we are pushing stuff away if on a level that very often will be subconscious, barely perceptible, unless we use, for example, mindfulness to become aware of it. And once we start using mindfulness, then we're able to start using techniques and methods to stop ourselves from suppressing. Also, from stop ourselves from over attracting, if you like, to what we feel benefits us. There's nothing wrong, of course, with doing things that benefit us and others. That's the whole goal. But there is another way that this happens, where it's on a kind of sensory level, where this links to addictions. For example, it could be then perceived that certain addictive behaviors benefit one, and working in this area is really powerful effects on PTSD, on addictions, because we can start to really know ourselves and see where we are acting in such ways. And again, mindfulness and then certain techniques that we can use help us balance this tendency towards non-beneficial behavior. So thus, real well-being is established. And in many ways, it's just understanding how the mind works. So if we think of the mind working on a conscious and a subconscious, or conscious and an unconscious level, then if we bear in mind that the Buddhist explanation or the ancient Eastern explanation is a little different in terms of what consciousness is than what we use often in the West. I find the Eastern one to be much more beneficial in terms of a working model of what we are as people. So consciousness in Eastern tradition is seen as being related to the senses in many respects. So the senses, eye, nose, taste, ear, touch, they're often called that rather than sight, smell, hearing, but it essentially means the same. But within the Eastern understanding, what we have really sense bases. The mind also at a lower cognitive level is a sense base because it does imprint. So in terms of a mind being conditioned, it really does at a lower level work like that. So the Eastern understanding is that sight and sight objects. So when the eye comes into contact with, let's say, so an object, then consciousness is formed, eye consciousness, which fits within our overall consciousness. And this is going on many levels. All of the other sense bases, smell or nose, taste, hearing, touch, and all of these have a sense object which goes with them. So hearing will then have a certain sound. And again, in terms of this understanding ourselves, the idea is that we are, through these 6 sense bases, we are forming relationship to events going on around us all the time. And those events tend to be like, dislike, or neutral. And with mindfulness, we can become aware of these relationships. And it's a really insightful model anyway. Even just knowing this model brings relief and joy to a person, because you feel that you do know yourself better, because you know how you work. And the Buddhist model, again, is less on content and more on just actually the mechanics of being human. Sense bases, this is how we filter information. So it's really key in terms of understanding ourselves and understanding others. Ultimately, if we break things down in terms of our understanding of the world and how we process information, it's the experience feels a thought, feeling, aggregates, if you like, or conglomerations of those which we call emotion. And the reason why it's in different feeling is the key experience first. If we are mindful about our experience, we can see that it is a feeling which happens first before, and a thought and feeling. If unchecked, these will create emotions. Now, emotions are great, of course, but if we think about the word emotion, to emote, it is very much linked to volitional activity. So it's the driving force of activity in many ways. So there is a real link between how we act and the overall results in our lives. So this is a key area. But really, prior to emotion is thought and feeling. And with mindful awareness or open awareness, we can be in a much better position to watch as experiences is had through through these experience fields, thought and feeling, before it necessarily goes into emotion. The joy is through being. Our joy is through being. That is the ultimate joy, is just being. Subordinate to that, really, in many ways, are the impermanent fluctuations of thought and feeling and emotion. But these really are the key dynamics of being human, and the mechanics of well-being, the mechanics of what it is to be a human. And again, Buddhism, as I say, focuses not so much on the content, but more on these experience fields. And so, bringing in this idea of, can we bring holistic, ancient understandings into coaching, and how could we do that? It's good to perhaps qualify that. So, these are some of the ways that this understanding of sense bases and how we process information is really important, and could alone be of use to us in our coaching. But we want to look at areas such as equanimity, for example, or how we can access these dynamics of ourselves in order to experience real joy. And equanimity is one of those areas. So we're just going to have a look in a moment at practice, which can help us gain a lot of insight and access our subconscious, and can be really powerful in terms of accessing trauma. So we'll, in the next short video, we'll just look at equanimity and a practice to go with that, of how we can get to that joyful state which equanimity is.